of you online as well. Empower You is meant to empower, engage, and enjoy. I hope all of you here can say you're being empowered. We're trying to empower you. We're trying to get you engaged, but I think you do enjoy for sure. Just to remind you that all the classes are posted to the website the next day by 4 o'clock. If you miss a class and you want to go watch a class, you will need to scroll down. When you go on the website, what you will see at the top are the 2 classes that are coming up. So you need to scroll down till you see the date. If you wanted to see tonight, it would be April 5th, the date you would be looking for, and then you can go on and watch it. So if you know anybody that wanted to be here tonight and couldn't be sure and tell them that they can watch it later. I just want to thank all of you that have been giving donations. Without you, we couldn't do what we do. So we appreciate it very much. If you're new to Empower You and you don't know how to give donations and you would like to, when you sign up on the registration page, there's a donate button. On our website, there's a donate button. You can also send a check to our physical address, which you will find on the website. And of course, when you're in the studio, we always pass our buckets around. If you have $1 or $2 you'd like to give, we appreciate all of it. Annie, are you going to be taking questions tonight as you present or at the end? During? At the end. Okay. So she wants to take questions at the end. So when she's ready for questions, if you have one and you're in the studio, please raise your hand and wait for one of us to bring the microphone to you. If you're not speaking in the microphone, people behind you can't hear you. People online certainly can't hear you at all. If you're online and you have a question, just drop down to the bottom of your page where you will see a Q&A button and you can put your question in there and we will try to get it for you. Next, or this Thursday, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller will be here. Did any of you by any chance catch him on the radio this morning? One? It was pretty good, wasn't it? He was on at 8:30 this morning talking to Brian Thomas, talking a little bit about what he's going to be talking about on Thursday night. If you don't know who Stuart Scheller is, he's the Marine with a 17-year career that posted on Facebook and LinkedIn questioning the Afghan withdrawal. He was really asking for accountability from our military and our political leaders as to why they made the decisions that they did. Colonel Scheller gave up a 17-year career. He could have retired in 3 more years with full pension. He knew when he did this, he might be putting that at risk. He did it anyway because he felt like somebody needed to speak up. If you aren't signed up to be here on Thursday night, I hope you will go on and sign up. And if you can't be in the studio, please sign up online. This is the one chance to hear him. He is originally from Cincinnati. He's not living here currently. His parents do, but he is flying in just to do this for us. Next Tuesday, Vivek Ramaswamy. Is there anybody in here that doesn't know who Vivek is? Yeah, I didn't think so. So I don't really need to tell you very much about him, do I? The author of Woke Inc. He's going to be focusing on how there is a cartel of the top 3 largest asset managers in the world, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, that pushes a one-sided political agenda. The cartel uses not their own money, but the money of retirees, pensioners, the American people at large to advance their goals in a way that betrays their fiduciary duty to their clients, and that would make their clients' blood boil if they knew what was going on. He'll also be addressing his book, Woke Inc. And then on Thursday next week, we have Dr. Kenneth Mangus, who's going to be here. He's a forensic psychologist. How many people do we have that are big Dateline watchers? I knew Dan was because I watched it too. I also watch Forensic Files. He's going to be here. Dr. Mangus has testified in civil, criminal, and military cases. He will provide a glimpse at some of the amazing stories about how the twists and turns of evidence, research, and interviews he has had that have led to some surprising outcomes over the hundreds of times he has testified in court. I think that's going to be really interesting because I really get caught up in that. And then next, we're going to have another Saturday class. This is the one we just added a week ago. It's going to be Saturday, April 23rd. Leah Cagle, one of our board members, is the one that wanted to do this and put it together. So thank you, Leah. The documentary is called Whose Children Are They? It's limited to the first 100 who reserve a ticket for that day. But the documentary exposes the hidden agendas in today's schools. Some brave people made up of teachers, parents, and experts have come together to tell what's really happening in our schools. It will be the starting point for a full cultural conversation about the need to return to the original intent of education and not indoctrination. I hope a lot of you will be here. This documentary isn't just for people who have children in school or even just grandchildren in school. It's for everybody because the children are our future. They're the ones that are going to be telling us things when I get older. Maybe I won't live that long. I'm already old, so. Next, we want to give door prizes if Dan would come up. Our door prizes tonight, we have two things here. They both were made by our speaker, Anni Cyrus. She has her own website and she makes different things. It's one of the ways that she supports herself. So we're going to give away two of her pieces. For in the studio, we're giving away one of these vases. Now I think this one's really pretty. She's got a couple more back there if you want a different color that you could exchange at the end of the class.
So for the vase, that's against the rules. So for the vase, we have number 135. 135. Right there. Come on up. Natalie's the winner.
There you go.
And we're actually going to have a bonus giveaway just since it's my favorite holiday and that's Easter. So we're going to give away an Easter plant. And that goes to number 122. Who's got number 122? Who's got it? 122. Uh-oh, right. I picked it. Yeah, okay. You're good. Congratulations. Yellow or pink? Here we go. Let's give our winner a round of applause. Enjoy. And so this is for our online giveaway. Isn't that spectacular? And the winner. The winner is online. Good to see you tonight. It's Renee W. Let's give Renee W a round of applause. And Renee W, we'll get that to you quickly. Thanks. Good to see everybody tonight. And somebody is with us in the audience, a former speaker at Empower You, and that's Isaac Adi, who's one of our Lakota school board members. Let's give him a round of applause. Isaac, you want to say a few words? I put Isaac on the spot when I saw him and asked him to say a few words. And Isaac spoke to us towards I guess, October or so.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here tonight. Thank you, Dan, for the opportunity. I spoke here prior to the election. I also had an opportunity to go. We were in Columbus together with him and the team when we spoke against critical race theory and these ideologies that is impacting our schools. Luckily, I got elected. Thank you to every one of you. Thank you so much. I never knew that this thing is so deep until when I got on the board. One of the things that we have to do is, it's a fight that we all have to be engaging.
Testing.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a fight, and it's something that we have to be strategic, because this plan has been on for years and years. These people have been planning. So for us to unwind, we have to be strategic and we have to be diligent. And it has to involve every one of us. So if you see anything, you report. It will help us to dig it out, because I think they package it and they hid it. We have to find it. So we're going to fight for our kids, our children, because every nation depends on, the future of every nation depends on their children. And we have to protect our children. So thank you, everyone. When I heard that Annie was going to speak, I read through her information. I'm like, I'm from Nigeria, and I know what, I have an idea what Annie went through. And for her to be here today, you know what? I called Michael. I said, Michael, we need to be here to hear Annie. So I don't want to take too much away from Annie. However, please continue to support us. Write emails to the school. If you have anything you want us to talk about, continue to write. They are writing. You should too also have to write. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, Isaac. Are there any Mark Levin fans out there? I don't know how many of you saw him interview the guy who wrote this book, David Mamet. What an interesting article. So this book is a future giveaway, so make sure you come to all the classes. Just a couple things I wanted to go over with you. I wanted to go over the class we had last Tuesday night, which was with Rick Gibbs about protecting yourself. He has sent us 3 new lists of things you need that we've put online under the class name. So we just got that done over the weekend. So if you missed that, make sure you download those and print them out if you want to protect yourself. And how many of you got to go to the Board of Elections in Hamilton County with us on Thursday? That was quite an event, really. And I have had several people tell me that it was the most organized tour that I've ever actually been on, the most professional. And I had a couple of people reach out to me and tell me that it really, at least from what they saw, it made them feel like there was a process to what they do down there. I know everybody's concerned about it. So glad you could come. Just a couple of other things I wanted to tell you about. I've got a required reading article. It's a little different than normal, but I heard about it. It sounded really interesting because it's something that we should all be concerned about so much, just like Isaac, and that's American teens. This article is from The Atlantic by Derek Thompson. It's Why American Teens Are So Sad. And this is a required reading article that you can get a copy of it when you leave, or for those of you online, you can just click to go online. I also put up a required reading number 2. I hate to work you guys so hard, but a friend of mine was in town over the weekend from Maine, and there was an article I saw of a Maine town, a town in Maine that's just under siege because so many of the new migrants coming across the southern border have ended up in this one town in Maine, and how it's taken over the entire town. It's quite a picture. You don't expect it to happen in Maine. So, I mean, there's no reason to think that it won't happen in Westchester or Glendale or Springdale or any place we live. And it's terrible. That's only online. You can click on the link tonight if you have a chance. I've had several people send me articles for our required reading series. I appreciate it all. I know Victor and Ken Bowman both told me about the Imprimis article on the Great Reset. And that's a class we are super excited to have on the 28th of this month. We are going to be co-sponsoring it with great people from the Westchester Tea Party. And the leader of that organization is with us tonight, and that's Shaykh Peterson. She's right here. Let's give her a round of applause. It's going to be, Tom DeWeese is going to be here. It's going to be a great class. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to start at 6 o'clock with, we're going to have some food. And we're going to open up the whole area out front, and we're going to have food in, and we're going to inviting people from their group and our group, and hopefully we're going to learn important information that night. And we're just really excited to have that opportunity. Let's talk about tonight's guests. First of all, I didn't know that our guest was so talented art-wise. Incredible stuff back there. Coming from a picture framing business, I do know a little bit about art. And I mean, that's some great stuff that you do, Annie. So Annie's got some stuff in the back that she's going to sell after the event. If you're interested, you can stop back there and say hello to her. So Annie Cyrus is a former child bride from Iran who has devoted her life to defending, rescuing, and shining a light on the plight of women and girls suffering oppression around the world, particularly where fundamentalist Islam has taken a hold. A Middle East expert, Annie speaks 3 languages, English, Farsi, and Dara, and monitors international broadcasts in their local languages. She's an expert contributor on Afghan and Middle East policy on Lindell TV and has her own channel on Frank Speech, named after the organization she founded, Live Up to Freedom. She's a human rights activist, a social media influencer with nearly 3 million views. We are just so glad to have her. Her website is liveuptofreedom.com. Annie Cyrus, welcome to Empower You. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. I could get really loud, so let me know if I need to tone it down. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I'm going to annoy you with a couple of questions. Don't be shy, raise your hand. How many of you actually do know me? And I don't mean as my friend, but know my story or have seen me on camera. Awesome. That's okay, I don't take it personal. How many of you were born here in America? Awesome. Oh, how many of you have read the Quran? Even one chapter of it. Perfect. Which chapters have you read, if you remember? You don't remember? Sections. Okay. I have a reason for asking all this, I promise. How many of you are following Middle East, specifically countries such as Iran? You might call it Iran. But okay, so we have a lot of work to do and we have only 30 minutes. Let's get started. I was born in Islamic Republic of Iran. I refer to it as Iran. It's the same thing you call Iran. And I was born in 1983. Yes, I am 38 years old. It's okay. But if you are familiar with 1979 revolution in Iran, you know I was born after the revolution happened, which means the country I was born into was officially Islamic Republic of Iran, which means the constitution of the country follows a Sharia. What is Sharia? Quran, words of Allah, Sirah, life of Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, and Hadith, the stories told by those who lived around Muhammad during the time of Muhammad. You put those together, you have Sharia, translated to English, Islamic laws. Therefore, the Constitution is Islamic laws. On top of that, my father was also a sheikh. For those of you who may not know what a sheikh is a step higher than an imam. Now, if you don't know what an imam is an Islamic leader. So a sheikh is the person who's higher than an Islamic leader. A sheikh can make rulings, can do judgments, can perform marriage or divorce, or even sentence someone to death under Sharia. That was my father. And my mother was a teacher who taught Quran. So I pretty much was raised what you would call 100% Islamic. I didn't like it. I kind of like this better. Right? Seriously, who wants to hide all these beautiful hair? I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. Anyhow, on the note of not liking it, I asked questions. You see, I just started my speech with asking new questions. I love asking questions. However, you're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to think. You're not allowed to have a mind of your own. Does any of that sound familiar? Good. So based on asking questions, for example, I'll give you an example. One day I was 7 years old and they told me I need to start mastering my prayer, Islamic prayer, and they called to prayer. And they said, I have to learn that in Arabic. Now my mother tongue is Farsi. I'm like, wait, why? They're like, well, you have to perform your prayer, call to prayer, read the Quran, all of that in Arabic. I'm like, but why? They're like, because that's how Allah likes it. I'm like, so wait a minute. This guy created me, but I have to be bilingual? That's how smart this creator is? That was one of the most painful responses I got. Yes, I got beat up for it. From there, I kept asking questions. I kept breaking the rule. I'm going to make a very long story short into by the time I reached the age of 13, I was arrested, put in prison, lashed, beat up by my own father. Crimes such as, well, I went to a party when boys and girls were in the same room. We call it being normal teenager here. I had my hair showing from the back of my hijab, the head covering thing, accidentally. I had nail polish on. I was singing publicly, on and on and on. So by the time I turned 13, the father being the sheikh, it was way too much pressure. I was bringing way too much attention to this house. So one day, literally, I kid you not, he walked in, he grabbed me, we went to an office, some work office, we walked in, he pulled me in, he said, you're gonna marry that guy. Literally like that, I'm not even making this up. You're gonna marry that guy. Side story of how I tried to fight it, it didn't work out. So he married me off to the guy. In return, he got $50, American dollars. One of the very few words I knew when I came to America was dollar. 2 20s and 10. And about a month of personal usage of opium, which was his addiction. And he handed me over. I became this guy's wife. Now, back then, it was called being the wife. Later on, I was introduced in America to the word child bride. Recently, I have come to realize I was not a child bride. I was nobody's wife. I was sex trafficked, and I was a sex slave to a sick man. Now, I would say there are many people everywhere who can tell you a sad story about what their father did to them, right? But there are very few, like me, who can tell you their father did what they did, because in the holy book of his religion, what he did is absolutely allowed, and better yet, promoted. It is rewarding to get rid of your daughter sooner rather than later, because if not, she's going to bring shame to you. How many of you in this room have daughters, sisters, nieces, granddaughters? How you all doing out there? Let me tell you why I'm asking you this. Are you aware, as of right now, we have 3 Sharia-obeying Muslim members in American Congress? Did you know we have 2 Muslim Sharia-obeying senators in America? Did you know in total across America we have more than 128 Muslims in offices? And I want to be clear about something. I'm going to try to be serious about this one. No sarcasm. I have no problem with people whatsoever. I have forgiven my own father. But I have a problem when there's a toolbox sitting on the corner of every single house, and whenever I decide to use it, I'm allowed to use it. That toolbox, you all know it as Islam. You all know it as the religion of peace. You all know it as the fastest growing religion. But please do let me know if I'm saying something that's not something you heard as well. Correct me. No, that toolbox is what cost me my childhood, my innocence, my trust toward the people who were supposed to protect me no matter what. I'm referring to my parents clearly. And then the man who bought me, I mean, I'm not going to say you should be able, guys in this room, you shouldn't be able to imagine it, but A man who buys a child, a girl, purchases her, rapes her, beats her up. I mean, is he sick? Yes. But again, a sick man who's given authorization to do sick things will continue doing it. He definitely did not treat me well. And fast forward again, when I was 15, I had a very brave and wise grandmother, my mother's mother, who decided to do something about this. So he hired the smugglers. They snatched me, smuggled me out of country, took me to Turkey, where I went to United Nations. Now, by the way, this is a long time ago. United Nations was really United Nations back then. So when you would knock at the door, they would open the door. You're a 15-year-old teenager. You're like, save me. They would actually do something about it. And I became an asylum seeker. And just so you know, I did have options such as, marrying my brother, I guess, even though I don't have a brother in America. But I could have married somebody as fake. I could jump over borders. I could do all of that. I chose not to do it. I waited in Turkey as a refugee, as a teenager, for 3 years until I received a package with a Welcome to the United States of America I-95 visa. Now, you might ask, why would I do that? Do you ask, why would I do that? Or are we all just used to the idea of jumping over the border? Because honestly, that's the thing. Sometimes I do think about it. It's just easier. I waited and I did it the right way because I wanted to be able to stand here today and look at you all and say, I am your fellow American. I wanted to be able to walk to people like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and say, as long as I'm around, you don't get to infiltrate this beautiful country because I know who you are and I know what you're doing. But sadly, it's not the fashion anymore, right? Actually comes August 8th. It is my 20th anniversary of arriving in America. So this is 20 years ago when it was appreciated and it was adored when you did it the right way. Nowadays, if you do it the wrong way, if you break the law, there are lines of people wearing all weight behind fences crying for you taking pictures. So you become the hero that way. But my story, or at least the reason I do what I do on the way here, as my very dear friend Michael was with me, I actually told him most likely on the way back, I'm going to be just like dead silent. I was like, that's fine. But then the question of why do you do it if it bothers you so much? I do it because there are 3 very important messages within my story. And by the way, I have only told you the bad news. I promise you I got good news. Number 1 is, even though back then I just considered myself this lost soul, ex-Muslim, for a while an atheist, but the true God had my back. He carried me through all of this fire until the day I was ready to know him and I was ready to say, I'm listening. And by the way, is one of my very good news. My amazing stories I tell is I was saved on a stage at a church in Chicago when I heard him saying, it's okay, your heavenly Father loves you. This was when I was saying my father hated me. But the reason I'm bringing up being saved and our Lord and Savior is I have been saying this for many years, even before my English was well enough to phrase proper sentences, that one of the main reasons America is under attack is because the most perfectly written documents of all time, known as American Constitution, is based on Judeo-Christian values. When there are cults, murderous cults, and yes, I am referring to Islam, and I have proof for everything I have. You want to ask, I'll give you the verse in the Quran to read, to know I'm not making this up. Let me switch gears. Did you know, and really answer me with a yes or no, did you know 51% of entire Quran is dedicated to the topic of how to deal with non-Muslims? And do you know how they deal with non-Muslims? Kill or convert. That's all. You kill them or you convert them. As much as it's so fascinating within American culture to go after our own government, let's just hate the government. It's always an inside job. It was the Bush, it was the Clinton, it was September 11 was nothing except the Islamic Jihad. End of a story. Did people benefit from it? Absolutely. But it was absolute and direct Islamic Jihad toward Americans. Now, as I said earlier, I have no problem with people. You want to be a Muslim? Be my guest. You want to pray 5 times a day? Give yourself back pain and arthritis on your knees because you're going down 20 times a day? Be my guest. Your body, your choice. Except when it comes to vaccination, of course. But don't come to my home. Remember, I already lost one home. This is my new home. Don't come to my home, blow my people up, scream Allahu Akbar and say, we need to coexist. Because we can't. We can't. Now, we, the Christian Americans, absolutely do have the capability to coexist. Because nowhere are we ordered to kill those who don't follow Jesus Christ. We're told to preach, we're told to invite, but it doesn't say if they said no. Slay them wherever you find them. Chapter 9, verse 5, Quran. We can coexist, but they can't. Ultimate goal is global caliphate. Have you heard of that term? Simplest translation, when every single breathing human is Mohammedan, aka Muslim. So, as a former child bride, former sexist slave, former somebody's wife, whatever you want to call it, by grace of God, by wisdom of my grandmother, by a stubbornness of my own, I survived. I made it to America. I'm a proud American citizen. In 2010, I became a citizen. And I have done everything in my power to learn, to adapt, to assimilate. What's the word I'm looking for? Assimilate. There we go. But, you see, that's as far as you can assimilate. But, one thing I still struggle to do is to get my fellow Americans who were born in America, handed their God-given rights, never fought for it even a day, to understand that we are under attack from every single front. We have enemies within, we have enemies from outside, and we have enemies from inside. Now, the question is, what do you do under the circumstances I just described for you? No, I genuinely am asking, what do you do? Anyone? What do you do? Nope. How do you fight? Nope. You grab a copy of your Constitution, you will hold on to it like your life, and you will start practicing your God-given rights. When they tell you you need a permit to carry, you pull a concern and say, where does it say that? Where does it say I need your permission to carry a weapon? When they tell you you have to accept everyone from everywhere because America was built on immigration, again, you pull your Constitution and say, tell me, where does it say immigration is a right? Because it isn't. You know why I'm so grateful? Because immigration is a privilege. I was given the privilege to become an immigrant in America. I'm not going to treat it like it's my right and you all had to do it for me. No. But how many of the immigrants do you think that way? I know you do. I know you do. But that's the thing. Instead of letting them push you, corner you with your white privilege and your bigoted mentality and your racist this and that, you fight by telling them that you obey no man and you obey your Constitution. I know it sounds strange what I'm saying, but trust me, it works. Did you know in the Constitution of the United States of America, it says absolutely under no circumstances any foreign laws are allowed to be practiced? Did you know that? Work with me. Give me some energy here. Come on, guys. I can't take a nap right now. If you know that, then every time you pass by a mosque, you're going to call your local police and you're going to tell them, would you like to explain to me why a local imam is teaching Sharia, translated to English, Islamic law? Islamic law is a foreign law that is being practiced in my area. Shut it down. But you don't want to do that because you don't want to be called racist. By the way, anybody can tell me what race exactly Islam is? Because I don't know. Since when being a Muslim makes a race for you? We have white Muslims, we have black Muslims, we have brown ex-Muslims, proudly ex. Fight by not being afraid of labels. Because one day, I went to my grandmother. The man who bought me beat me up, and I was sick of it. I went to my grandmother, and she asked me, she said, what can I do to make you feel better? I looked her in the eye and said, at this point, nothing. But you could have fought when the revolution was going on. Too late to do it now. Do you really want your next generation to look you in the eye one day and ask you that? Why didn't you fight? Are you going to tell them because I don't want to be racist? Because I don't want to be bigoted? Because I don't want to be Islamophobe? My favorite term, Islamophobe. My fear of Islam is as rational as it could get. Under Islam, under dictation of Quran, I was sold, I was raped, I was beaten, I was shattered into millions of pieces. Is my fear a phobia? No. It's logical. That's why their SPLC every month names me as an Islamophobe. I don't care. Call me Islamophobe for the rest of my life. I'd rather be Islamophobe than be considered half of a person. Quran chapter 4, verse 34. Men are in charge of women by what Allah has given one more than the other, brain. So, if you fear, you don't see it. You don't have proof for it. You just have a gut feeling. If you fear your wife is going to disobey you, first warn her, then separate your bed, then beat her until she obeys you. Word by word. Sadly, I know, waste of my brain cells know Quran in it. But I guess it's good to educate you with it. That is in Quran. Does anybody here have a nice, moderate Muslim neighbor, co-worker, anybody? No? Awesome. Whew. I was worried for a second I might sound like Islamophobe to someone in this room. No, on a serious note, I do apologize. I'm sure you'll understand it's a little hard to talk about all of this and not crack jokes. If in the future, even 5 minutes from today, you come across a friend who has a friend who's a moderate Muslim, or if you come across a moderate Muslim that claims to be a moderate Muslim, I need you to ask the question. So you're a moderate Muslim. Does that mean you don't follow the Quran? Or does that mean you never read chapter 4, 5, and 9 of Quran? And watch them either call you names, like Islamophobe, or run as fast as they can. Because on chapter 4, it tells you how to treat your wife, woman, and daughter. Chapter 9 tells you how to deal with non-believers or non-Muslims. Chapter 5, my favorite. Anyone here, by any chance, have you ever read or heard chapter 5, verse 51 of Quran? I just want to make sure I'm going to surprise everybody. Ready? Chapter 5, verse 51. And please don't believe a word I'm saying. Go confirm for yourself. There's a website called Quran, Quran.com. Find the Quran in 12 different English translations to make sure I'm saying it correct. Chapter 5, verse 51. O you who have believed, in parentheses, Muslims, do not take Christians and Jews as your allies. How's that for coexistence? Again, these are all within, I haven't even started Sirah. I haven't even talked about Hadith. I'm just giving you Quran. I haven't even talked about the fact that my father was allowed to sell me at that age because the Prophet of Islam, with absolute zero prophecy, had 11 wives. His favorite was named Aisha. Aisha was 6 years old when Muhammad married her. And she was 9 years old when Muhammad raped her and called it consummating the marriage. On that note, that happened to me. 1400 years later, if you look up Islamic Republic of Iran's civil code, you'll come to see in that civil code, in absolute English, I didn't translate it, so I couldn't manipulate it. Somebody else did. It says the legal age of adulthood for girls is 9 years old. Article 1, if the male guardian sees fit to marry her before age 9, he's allowed to do that. But the husband is not allowed to consummate the marriage until she's 9. And I mean, as of right now, that's still the civil code. So this isn't 1400 years ago. This isn't something that was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. No, to this day, in Islamic countries, when you're born as a girl at age 9, you're a full adult woman. However, even before that, your male guardian can sell you to a man as a wife. Do you actually feel comfortable with having Muslims coming to America? Is this one of those silence that's agreement or silence that's I'm thinking about it? But they are here, right? They have representatives. Ilhan Omar is pushing for blasphemy bill. Are you familiar with the blasphemy bill she's pushing in? Well, she's working towards a blasphemy law where any act of Islamophobic act shall be punished. I mean, if any of you ever decide, I know it's not a good habit, but please bring me some cigarettes if you come visit me in prison, because I'm not stopping. I'm never going to criticize Islam. Number one, in America, as an American citizen, First Amendment gives me the right to be offensive and gives you the right to be offended. I love that. I'm going to keep practicing it. And if I need to make fun of Islam, and I need to absolutely tell the truth that their prophet was not a prophet, but a pedophile, and if I'm going to be put in prison for that, then why am I here? I could have just stayed back in Iran, not go through being smuggled through countries and leave everything behind and learn everything from scratch and just keep my mouth shut. Now, the question is, what can I do today, right here? I'm serious. I know I switch between serious and sarcasm so much it's hard to keep up. Seriously, what can I do at this very moment for all of you, all 32 people in this room? What can I do for you to commit to help me spread the message of Islamization of our country? No one's interested? So what was that? Oh, trust me, I am going to keep on speaking, but the question was, how do I get you to commit to help me spread the message? All of you heard my message today, right? Can I count on you to leave, see your friends and family and tell them about my story? Or are you going to shy away because you don't want to offend them? And that's how we fight. That's how we put an end to it all. There was a very quick hint at the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I actually covered that situation. Were you ever when we suddenly just got up and left. Let's not even talk about all the technology we left behind. Did you know we moved over 60,000 Afghan refugees into America after that? 60,000, 60,000. You want to hear something that most likely are going to possibly piss you off? We started this transition in August. We finished the last batch of 60,000 on September. End of September, I received a call about 2 Afghan child brides in our Wisconsin military base. I got the call, not the government, not this child services protection, whatever they called. I got the call. The side note, my organization, Live Up to Freedom, we do rescue cases. We go in and we get child brides, women who are forced into marriages, political prisoners, Christians, ex-Muslim, we get them out of the Middle East, get them to safe places, other countries. That's why I got the call. There were 2 kids. One was 12 years old. One was 15 years old. The 12-year-old husband, the 12-year-old girl's husband was 62 years old. The first call I made, the answer I got was, right now, we are looking into the situation. A week later, Homeland Security put out a release regarding these 2 cases. This is when I say we need to wake up. The answer said, as of right now, we are working closely with Child Protective Services to look into the child's age and the length of the marriage to determine if she is in danger. Right? Since when in America the word child, length of marriage, and safety goes into one sentence? I know. It's kind of tough to really open your eyes and look around. But we're at a point when a former child bride herself has to dive in and save 2 other current child brides from Wisconsin, America. And yes, unfortunately, I can't name names, but with help of 2 absolutely amazing, good politicians, these 2 kids were removed from the base. But the fact that they existed, let's say I wasn't there. Let's say I wasn't willing to be Islamophobe. Maybe I don't want to lose my job or have my bank account closed because of what I do. Who would go save them? Biden regime? Seriously. Based on research and release information from Homeland Security itself, every year in last 7 years in America, between 27 to 32 girls have been killed in name of honor killings in the United States of America. Yes, ma'am. In last 10 years, every year in average, between 27 to 32 girls, American girls, have been killed in name of honor killing in America. Belonging to Muslim families born in America, they became too Americanized. Their father, their brother, or father and brother and sister in one case killed her. Because honor killing is allowed under Sharia. If you kill your child because they brought shame to the family, you walk free. But then this is America. Yes, sir.
Also, if you kill your sister.
I'm sorry?
It's also if you kill your sister, right?
No.
Well, it's not.
Now, if you
Okay.
assist, there was a case when the father, the brother, and the sister, they all help each other to kill her, but the father initiated the plan, I guess, or fatwa or bounty, whatever you call it. Talk about bounty. Do you know what the fatwa is? No. There you go. So fatwa is when an Islamic mufti or a sheikh, like my father, can issue under Sharia, obeying Sharia system, a law. A lot of times that law could be death sentence. As an American citizen, I am proud to inform you, I am standing here with 12 fatwas on my head. 12. Out of 12, 7 of them were issued by 7 separate imams inside America. You all feel safe now? And again, we're kind of fine. I mean, there's a next generation to protect. I remember at the beginning, I said, I wasn't even born when the revolution happened, right? Who paid the price? I wasn't even there to fight. But then I paid the price for those who didn't fight. I understand I'm probably extremely overwhelming you with a lot of information, but we don't have much time. And I don't mean today. I mean, generally, the hour is really late. We're going to get there. We kind of need to, we got to finish the education, all of us graduate, and then start grabbing our tools and start fighting. So that's like, we got to get going. This year, CARE has absolutely encouraged 280 Muslims across America to start running for 2024. Now, there's a verse in the Quran that I always throw at Muslims who come at me with, you're crazy, just because you had a couple of bad experiences with your crazy father doesn't mean Islam is bad. Okay, how about the fact that in Quran, chapter 47, verse 35 says, do not call for peace when you are superior in numbers. Now you might know why they're so worried about the fact that they're minority, which by the way is, how are they minority when they are the second biggest population of religion in America after Christians? That doesn't make them minority, does it? No, as of right now, the number of Jews in America are about half of Muslims. So if there's a minority talk, that's Jews, not Muslims. But that's the thing, manipulation of terms. They manipulate the situation and the system. They're hiding behind our own First Amendment of freedom of religion when they don't give us the freedom of religion. I can give you more stats on everything that's happening in America. The number of mosques that are being built, the number of Muslims in offices, number of Muslims running against good American people, all of that. But I think you get what I'm saying. For me, it's personal. Yes, I'm not going to even pretend. Yes, I am never, ever going back to live life the way I did the first 15 years of my life. Never. No, you seriously, I just can't. I don't have it in me anymore. To pretend every single day, to pretend that, yeah, you accept that you're a half a person, so you need a male guardian to tell you where to go, what to do, how to breathe, what to wear. To look over your shoulder every day knowing your male guardian has the right to kill you immediately and just tell them that you were not faithful. Can you imagine a life like that? The fact that your husband has the right, absolute right, to marry 4 wives at the same time and have unlimited temporary wives. Can you picture a life like that? Now, I've been there, so I don't need to picture it. I just need to remember it, and I'm not going back there. But I really hope that not just you in this room, anyone around you will hear about it. And then they will tell more people, because enough is enough. Enough is enough. They have used every single technique and tactic to silence us. And sadly, majority of us have given into their tactics by being quiet, minding my own business. I'm all about minding my own business, but when somebody's out there trying to kill me for saying I'm an ex-Muslim, it's kind of hard to just mind my own business. I have to mind their business too, because I need to know when they're coming. How many more times are you going to hear actual Islamic leaders screaming that the plan is to take down the great Satan America, wipe Israel off the map, until you actually believe them? You do realize they told us they're coming on September 11. We just didn't listen, right? Then when are we going to listen? We need to start listening. As hard as it is to understand or wrap your head around the idea that there are people who want you dead simply because you're not following their steps, it is what it is. It is the reality. You don't have to understand it to accept it. You just need to accept it. It's one of the survival key parts. You don't have to understand why it happened. You just need to accept that it happened. We're at war, a spiritual war, power, a struggle, however you look at it, we are at war. So you got to fight. And I'll keep speaking out. I'll do that. I don't think I could ever stop. But if you don't help people like me take the words out of this room, it's just going to end in this room. Until the next room, somebody would, invite me. My number of invitations have dropped to almost zero, because anyone who invites me, it's either end up being, threats toward them, losing jobs, losing income, something happens. So do spread the word, and hear this from someone who was not born in America, but somehow, for whatever reason, made her way to America. America is not perfect. However, America is as close as you ever get to perfection of a nation. Hate the government, I have no problem with that. Don't agree with government, I'm fine with that. Continue on loving America, because there are millions of people like me who got a second chance at life because of America. You can never, ever doubt how amazing America is. And you can never, ever give up on America, because America is the last place for people who do still believe in American dream. I will close it with that, and I will say, God bless you and God bless America.
Thank you. Who has a question for our guest tonight, right here?
Hi, I'm Barb. I was just curious how Tlaib and the other Muslim representatives and the senators you mentioned, the women, how do they fit into the hierarchy of the Muslim culture, being as outspoken as they are?
They're not outspoken. They are outspoken when it comes to attacking the enemies of Islam. That is allowed. As long as, first of all, they all have the authorization of their male guardian. For example, Ilhan Omar was handpicked and trained by Keith Allison. Keith Allison plays the male guardian role for Ilhan Omar. So she has approval from a Muslim male guardian to follow the footsteps she's doing today. Same thing with Linda Sarsour, same thing with Rashida Tlaib. And they can be outspoken as long as they're fighting for the global caliphate. When global caliphate takes place, they're all going to be pushed back into the kitchen.
Here's a question right here.
Yes.
My name is John. It's going to be totally off topic at some level, but I'm curious how your mother and grandmother are.
Sure. My grandmother sadly passed away in 2008, natural causes. My mother lost her battle to cancer in 2019.
Other questions right here.
I just noticed that Linda Sarsour, but Linda Sarsour, of course, right, is that she just recently was chastised a little bit by one of the insurance companies or whatever. I can't remember. I just can't remember the name. But anyway, that was kind of remarkable. Anyway, just also, do you know of Sherry Barons, who wrote An American Woman Living in Egypt? She's got this, she got sherrybarons.net. If you go to her site, she lived while the Arab Spring was taking place in Egypt, and very, she went through all that. She just knows really a whole lot about what happens. So I try to follow her. Facebook keeps taking her off, but anyway, also too, that Royce White is trying to run against Omar. So do you think there's any chance that he could?
No.
Why is that? Because Keith Ellison's got so much power?
No, actually, Keith Ellison amazingly does not hold any power, but I'm gonna steal one of my heroes' answer, Dr. Bill Warner.
Oh, yeah.
There has been cases of post-communist societies, but to this day, there is still no post-Islamic societies. When they come to power, you can't remove them. Ilhan Omar has way too many cards to play. The racist card, the sexist card, the Muslim card, for anyone to seriously go up against her. Same thing with Rashida Tlaib. Well, Rashida won without even having the opposition, but no. This is just a thought. Don't get your hopes high yet, but we need people like me to run against them because I have exact cards that they have. From Middle East, immigrant, woman, all that. Having, American-born Christians running against these people will go nowhere because we deal with cancel culture right now. So the opposition is not going to get enough support or vote or money to go up against someone that's going to make the entire circle,
It's just that
racist and Islam.
he really gets it. He's really sharp and outspoken. And
He is.
I don't know, I guess probably it's just too much of an Islamic, population that he probably wouldn't be able to overcome that. But
Well, the other problem with him is he's sharp, he's outspoken, but he's also, for a lack of a better term, he's a little too skittish to go to areas that can have, bad effect on his reputation. I'll be more than happy. You put me in touch with him. I'll be more than happy to do that.
We've got a question right back here.
This is Betty. Annie, can you speak to a little bit about Phil Haney and what his mission was and what happened to him?
I'll do my best. Phil Haney. Is everyone familiar with Phil Haney? No, okay. Phil Haney was a very dear friend of myself, but a hero to this country. He was one of the founding members of Homeland Security. He was a whistleblower who came out and informed that Obama administration and FBI mainly are pretty much covering up for jihadists, for Islamists. They are opening the door to Muslim Brotherhood members to come in. He was the one who actually informed the American public that they are removing any references to Islam, Muhammad, jihad, all of that from all trainings. And he's the author of the book, See Something, Say Nothing. He pretty much was forced to retirement. He was investigated for hoax for too many times, I believe 19 times. And I actually personally worked with him on the red-green axis. If you're not familiar with red-green axis, it's basically the unholy alliance between the left and Islamists. So green stands for Islam, red stands for Communist Party of Democrats. And he was also working on a new book about the Islamic jihadist groups coming into America to infiltrate from inside. Unfortunately, he was killed in February of 2020. Of course, it was covered up. The final conclusion was he committed suicide. Phil Haney did not kill himself. That's not a joke. I mean it. I talked to him, if not every day, every other day. We were working on two very big projects, one toward the Congress, one toward CARE. But, well, they killed him. They silenced him. but he still has a lot of information out there. I had the honor to share a stage with him a few times. He can definitely show you all the evidence, all the proof of infiltration of our country by the All Unholy Alliance, Red Green Axis, whichever one you prefer to call it. He was actually working toward getting back into Homeland Security to clean up a little bit, clean house, but unfortunately, he didn't make it there, but that doesn't mean he didn't leave us enough material to educate ourselves. So Phil Haney, look him up. I want to say this part has nothing to do to support me, but I do have DVDs back there named Sabotage. It's 8 hours documentary made by Brian House. He is a producer, conservative Christian producer who's been doing this for almost 18 years. And on Sabotage, the 8 hours, Phil Haney is heavily featured on that. This was filmed in 2018, so he was with us on that point. So if you do want to learn more, if you want to listen to, and many more, Trevor Loudon, Claire Lopez, Phil Haney, I think there are 11 experts on that DVD. You can pick up a copy. Again, those are for Brown House. It's not my item, but we figured you may want to know.
Annie, we have an online question in the back.
Yes.
Someone is asking, is your father still living?
Yeah. My father passed away in 2003, less than a year after I arrived in America.
Anyone else have a question for our guest? Any more questions? Let's thank, here's a question right over here. Okay. Any other questions for our guest? Let's thank Annie for joining us tonight. What a great, interesting presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Glad to have you. And Annie will be in the back with her great art and her and some DVDs. Just a couple quick things before we close tonight. We have a great team at Empower You. It's fun to put on free classes for you. We all really, really enjoy it. I wanted to introduce them. We have Leanne Cartier in the back producing tonight. Let's give her a round of applause. We have our great executive director, Betty Overstreet, who put tonight's class together. We have John O'Neill, who helps us with our Take 20 classes, John, and Ken Bowman and Karen Cartier right here. Let's thank them. And Leah, too, is back there. So just a couple things that I wanted to share with you. So it's great to hear somebody talk about the United States being part of a Judeo-Christian nation. So I just happened to get something in my head today, and I decided to look it up, and it was 66 years ago that Dwight Eisenhower determined that the motto of the United States should be, "In God we trust." It's just too bad we can't have anybody who will bring God into what we're doing, because surely there's a lot we could use God's help with. I want you to really seriously think about your Saturday morning, 2 Saturdays from now, one Saturday from this weekend. This is the film we'll be showing. It's about 2 hours. It's going to be incredible. And whose children are they, exposing the hidden agenda in America's schools? There's a lot going on in schools, as we know, and this will just tell you more about that subject. And I hope you'll join us that day. At the end, we're going to have an hour. We're going to reserve an hour to talk about our education system. Isaac, if you can join us, we'd love to have you again. I know you're knee deep in it. Let's thank Isaac for getting up and saying a few words tonight. It's not easy, but we thank you, Isaac. And other than that, I just I encourage you to remember what Annie talked about tonight. Empower you to get empowered to make change, and go out tonight and empower you. And thanks for coming. Have a great night, everybody.